What is up, guys, and welcome back to another video. And today we're going over the 10 weirdest Marvel and DC superhero weaknesses of all time. Let's get straight onto the video with number 10. Green Lantern was vulnerable to wood. This is a little thing from the Green Lantern's ancient past, originating from the 1940s. A traditional weakness of Green Lantern was the color yellow, as he was unable to use the power of the ring on anything yellow. They started limiting the Green Lantern powers by imposing their own personal fears as weaknesses. Alan Scott's wood weakness has limited the ring powers by not allowing it to influence wood, which, believe it or not, was actually a huge problem. This weakness might be old, but some still remember it and often quote it on a list of the most ridiculous superhero weaknesses of all time. Number 9. Spider-Man is afraid of heights. Things get a bit tricky with Spider-Man, and it is very easy to forget his weaknesses. He doesn't have any unique or iconic weaknesses like other superheroes. Maybe he doesn't have his own kryptonite, but he does have a variety of different weaknesses. Some of his weaknesses are sorcery, super speed, the unreliability of his spider sense, and etc. However, probably the most surprising weakness is him being scared of heights. He hangs from buildings all the time, so you probably would not expect this from him. And yet, in issue number 83, released in September of 1997, Spidey experiences vertigo. Number 8. Wonder Woman loses her powers if she is tied up by a man. The early days of this popular feminist icon were quite strange when it comes to her weaknesses. In her early issues, Wonder Woman was often tied up by men, which would deprive her of all of her powers. The bondage details were also provoking controversies, as many consider this kind of over-sexualizing the character. However, if you consider how the comic book was created by Marston, who was a psychologist interested in gender issues, feminism, domination, submission, and sexuality, this is not unusual. Anyways, that's not the only unusual weakness of Wonder Woman had in the old days. Removing her bracelets would make her totally mad as well. Number 7. Human Torch's weakness is asbestos. Asbestos is a mineral used as a building material until it was discovered that it was harmful and in fact carcinogenic. If you're wondering, why does a Human Torch just use his fire to burn the asbestos? He can't. Asbestos is totally fireproof, but still, this correlation seems a bit too simplified. Both Human Torches have fought the villains who used asbestos. First you had Asbestos Lady and Asbestos Man. Since the carcinogenic traits of this material were already known at the time, Asbestos Lady later developed cancer. So just to rewind and reiterate myself, a villain decided to use asbestos because it was fireproof and cannot be burned by a Human Torch. But then, the villain is harmed by the asbestos in the end and develops cancer. Number 6. Superman's secret weakness is pink kryptonite. If you ever decide to fight Superman, you don't have to bother finding the regular kryptonite, because there's another type of kryptonite Superman would not want to see. We are talking about the mysterious pink kryptonite, which has luckily appeared only once during the Silver Age. So, what does this pink thing do to Superman? Believe it or not, it makes him homosexual. Of course, this sounds so wrong on many different levels. Like they literally have kryptonite that it makes him a sexual orientation. Like that's a weakness, I can't believe that. Anyways, it is unknown what the pink kryptonite would do to a Kryptonian who is already gay. Among the other types of kryptonite, there is black kryptonite, which makes him split into two different personalities, a good and a bad guy. And finally, there's white kryptonite that doesn't do anything to Superman, but it kills all of his plants, which is pretty messed up. Number 5. Gladiator has a weak self-esteem. Gladiator comes as one of the most powerful superheroes in the Marvel Universe, having amazing strength, heat vision, frost breath, and yes, he is Marvel's version of Superman in a way, but that's not the reason why he's on this list. The thing is, despite all these powers, it doesn't take much for him to forget all about these powers and abilities. Actually, if you fight him, all you have to do is say something mean to him basically. Okay, it's not that easy, but it's not that difficult either. All you have to do is say something that would make him doubt his superpowers. In War of Kings, which was released in 2009, that's exactly what happened. He was beaten by far less capable characters just because he was so insecure. Number 4. Power Girl cannot stand any natural materials. There is a big reason why Power Girl will never be the hero of environmental activists. Kara Zor-El, or Power Girl, whose powers are much beyond average and whose willpower is known to be very strong, is actually the owner of a pretty unusual weakness. She is vulnerable to all raw, natural, and unprocessed materials. Well, it wouldn't be so awkward if the Earth wasn't made of all those things. Power Girl comes from a different universe, which is why kryptonite doesn't affect her. Although green space rocks don't affect her, boring rocks from Earth can really hurt her as well. Let's assume dirt, grass, roses, sand, and tomatoes. Those would hurt her. Number 3. Shazam has issues with introducing himself. while waiting for his movie to come out in 2018, we can check out some basic info about this character. He used to be even more popular than Superman in the 1940s, outselling his comics. He's indeed a powerful character. He shouldn't have any lack of self-confidence. And yet, it turns out he cannot even say his own name. Well, you have maybe already heard of this, but it is actually only partially true. Yes, saying Shazam can turn him into Captain Marvel, and if you say it again, he turns into Billy Batson, who is him as a young boy. However, just saying it is not enough. What matters is how he says it. He needs to say it while he is very, very focused. Just imagine that, live in a world where no one, even including yourself, can say your name. Number 2, Venom is highly sensitive to fire. While Martian Manhunter is sometimes mocked for having fire as a weakness, it is actually Venom who should be mocked. Venom first appeared as Spider-Man's power-enhancing black costume, but later turned out to be a separate villain. The costume wasn't used in the comics for a while, so maybe you forgot that Venom is afraid of fire. It's not a house on fire or a huge fire in the woods that you would need to stop him. Actually, if you can light a single match, you can totally mess with him. In fact, Spider-Man beat him with using a lighter once. Number 1, Thor cannot be separated from his hammer. Well, technically he can be, but it'll make for a terrible mess. So, Thor, a god with amazing superpowers, must not let his hammer go away from him for more than 1 minute. 60 seconds and not a second more are enough for him to become Don Blake, a medical student, and obviously a mortal. Just a single minute takes away all of his godly features. But as some would assume, this has a more interesting meaning. Considering how many see the hammer as a male symbol, this would take away his masculinity. In a way, this does make sense, considering how inseparable Thor and his hammer are, and how it symbolizes all of his mega macho strength. And that's it for this list, guys. As always, we hope you enjoyed. If you did, do not forget to leave a like and subscribe for more. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at Valenplana, and I'll see you all later.